Have you ever felt the frustration of trying to describe to someone a very complicated experience? Then after a time, simply throwing up a hand and saying, you just had to be there. Hi, I'm Joe Cordell, the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is a lot like that, especially for men. Words just won't provide the full picture, but neither will walking away, especially when your experiences might help a guy in a similar situation. If I did not believe that, I would not have chosen divorce law as my profession. My divorce was years ago, but I still feel a connection with every guy that hires Cordell & Cordell.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Salt Lake City area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 801-401-9999. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in Midvale and Clearfield. Cordell & Cordell, 910 West Legacy Center Way, Suite 120, Midvale, Utah 84047.
Well, if you're innocent, you really ought to act like it. That's some pretty good advice to the President of the United States from the Chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, Trey Gowdy. Will President Trump fire Robert Mueller? He says no. We'll talk about it on today's Doug Wright Show.
KSL News Time 8:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First, West Jordan police believe two gangs had a rolling gunfight in a neighborhood near 68th South and 55th West. Several homes and cars were shot up, but no one was hurt.
Second, the Utah Jazz win again. They've won 9 in a row and 21 out of their first 23 games, improving to 5th place in the Western Conference.
Third, let's check the roads. Brought to you by Mountain America's special term deposit rates.
Things are clearing up fairly quickly on the west side. Bangor Highway and 56th West and West Valley returning to normal speeds. I-15 still a little bit slow and sandy, and we still have that closure of the intersection at 10th North, or 1000 North 300 West in Clearfield. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperature reaches 50 today with a mix of sun and clouds. I'm Grant Wayman, KSL Weather Center.
And right now, sunny and 33 downtown.
Time now for KSL's top national stories from ABC News.
Austin, Texas, rocked again by an explosion, the fourth in less than 3 weeks. ABC's Jim Ryan's there.
This is a city that prides itself on a strong economy and a low crime rate, but in light of the wave of bombings...
I'm from Austin, and I think I'm just in a state of shock and disbelief right now.
Shonda Mace and her neighbors were in an overnight lockdown as police waited for sunrise to search the site of last night's blast in this neighborhood.
Police say it appears last night's blast was set off by a tripwire, and they say that would be a new level of sophistication over the previous package bombs that left at least 2 people dead. President Trump lays out his plans to fight America's opioid epidemic this afternoon. At a speech in New Hampshire, the president is expected to call for the death penalty for some drug traffickers, as well as expanding access to treatment. A moment of silence is planned for 1:47 this afternoon Eastern Time at Florida International University to remember the 6 victims of last week's pedestrian bridge collapse. This is the first day of classes since it happened. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
This portion of Utah's Morning News is brought to you by Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And joining us live in studio is Dr. Mark Hiatt with Regence Blue Cross Blue Shield of Utah. Let's talk about Stephen Hawking for a moment, Doctor. He had ALS, or is ALS Lou Gehrig's the same thing, just a different name?
Yes.
Tell us more about this disease.
Yes. So Stephen Hawking died, of course, this past Wednesday. He had suffered for quite a long time from Lou Gehrig's disease, which is also known as ALS. That stands for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. That's a terrible, progressive neurodegenerative disease in which the nerve cells just don't function as they should. And so as a result, the muscles in the bodies just don't work.
You generally don't tie in ALS with somebody who lives a very, very long life, do you?
No, Brian. In fact, Lou Gehrig, after which the disease is named, because he also suffered from that disorder, of course, the famous New York Yankees first baseman. After his being diagnosed, he only lived 2 years, and that's pretty typical.
So when I think about Stephen Hawking, one of the things I think about him is that he inspired us to think you are not stopped even by a difficult diagnosis. You know, he had a great attitude, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He really did. You know, whereas most people live only 2 or 3 years, remarkably, Stephen Hawking lived for about 55 years with this disorder.
Oh, my gosh.
And for that whole duration, he never complained. He didn't regret what he couldn't do because of his disease. Rather, he tried to live his life as normally as possible.
Wow. All right, let's move on here. Food and Drug Administration recently announced it plans to try to at least lower the amount of nicotine in cigarettes. Why this move?
Well, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, believes that if it lowers that nicotine content in cigarettes, it's going to lower people's propensity to become addicted to those cigarettes.
Yeah, That sounds like a great idea.
Sure.
So what is tobacco's current impact? Do we have that? Are we clear about that?
Amanda, about 15% of Americans still smoke. And as a result, tobacco use, mainly from cigarette smoking, really is the leading cause of preventable disease and death in this country. About 500,000 Americans each year die because of cigarette smoking.
We have, in a related story, a story today that 1 out of 5 eighth graders or older have tried vaping. And now I know vaping and, cigarette smoking have been at least tied, but the whole initiative here is this to try to get the younger people away from smoking cigarettes?
It really is, because these younger people may try smoking and then they'll become addicted to it because of that high nicotine content. So the FDA is trying to reduce that nicotine content to reduce people's addiction to cigarettes.
Boy, we'll follow that. Thank you,
for
Doctor.
sure.
This portion of Utah's Morning News brought to you by Regence, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
KSL News Time now 8:49. Another check of Triple Team traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's special term deposit rates. Andy, we go right back to you.
And Brian, if you're traveling on 5600 West, now we had huge delays between 41 and 3100 South. Now the slowing has kind of shifted itself from 3100 South to the 201 freeway. Should clear out hopefully soon. Still have some delays on I-15. Minor slowdowns around 114th and 90th South. And then if you're up by 33rd South, there's some brake lights on I-15 in South Salt Lake as well. Eric?
Northbound slowing in Utah County, pretty much confined to the area just north of the Lehigh Main Street exit. By the time you get up to the Seven Peaks area and then 2100 North, you're back up to normal speed. And we did have some slowdowns southbound in that same area about 10 minutes ago, but that's all cleared up. And the city street's looking good right now. If you're heading into the mountains, you got some wet spots on I-80, but no major delays there. Heather?
Drivers using I-15, I-84, US 89 or Legacy Parkway will have smooth sailing for the most part as you make your way from Ogden to Salt Lake or vice versa heading up to Idaho border. You do have a bit of congestion on some of the city streets, the worst being that closure in Clearfield on 300 North, 1000 West. Yamaha has chosen the Piano Gallery to host a major piano sale this Friday and Saturday. Save big at the Piano Gallery in Murray, I-15 and 53rd South. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9th. And let's take a look now at the 7-day forecast and see what